Hey Charles, my name is Jordan, which is kind of annoying this question, but now that LeBron is the all-time leading scorer in NBA history with over 39,000 point careers, also ranking top 5 in assists and still climbing rankings in rebounds, blocks, and steals, all while consistently playing 20-plus seasons at an elite level for an old man, winning 4 championships, 4 MVPs, and making 19 All-NBA teams. Who is better, Jordan or LeBron?
You know, those are some incredible stats.
They are.
Those are some incredible stats. I'm never going to say anything bad about LeBron, I told you. I think he's the 3rd best player I've ever seen play after Michael and Kobe. It's just different eras. I love LeBron. I'm not going to say anything bad about him. He didn't go to college for 3 years. You have to factor that in also. He had a 3-year head start on Michael. Okay, since you want me that. So, I'm going to just give a couple of things about, if he wanted to do it fair, he would say, well, how many games did Michael Jordan play compared to LeBron? And actually, if you look at the numbers, Michael actually had 5,000 more points in his career, same number of games. 5,000, which is 2.5 NBA seasons. But you have to factor in, Michael went to college for 3 years. And if you remember, he broke his foot his first year, and he retired for 2 years. So if Michael went to the NBA 3 years sooner, not missed his rookie year with a broken foot, and not retired for 2 years, he would be the all-time leading scorer.
Can I say one thing?
Sure.
Did you ever look at how many shots Michael Jordan took and how many shots LeBron took?
I did not.
Michael Jordan.
They were both gunners.
Michael Jordan took way more shots.
Well, that was his job.
So
and let me tell you something. LeBron, we compare him favorable to Magic Johnson. He's more of a triple threat than Michael was. I'll agree with that. But let me ask you a question. I want you to be honest with me in your heart.
All right.
If you had one game and you said, I need to win game 7, would you want LeBron, Michael, or Kobe in one game win all?
LeBron.
Okay.
Let's go back to Cleveland.
Now that LeBron James stands as the all-time leading scorer, the age-old question resurfaces. Who's truly the greatest, Jordan or LeBron? A young fan threw that very question at Charles Barkley, his voice full of confidence and stats, the kind that light up debates everywhere. It's a question that doesn't just divide fans, it defines eras. On one side are those who worship numbers, 39,000 points, top 5 in assists, top 10 in rebounds, steals, and blocks, 20 elite seasons, 4 MVPs, 19 All-NBA nods. The stats paint LeBron as a living monument to longevity and dominance, the undisputed king of the modern metrics era. The crowd roared in agreement. But amid the cheers, Charles Barkley sat silent, unmoved, because some greatness can't be measured on a spreadsheet. No emotion crossed Barkley's face. No smile, no hint of debate, just the calm, unwavering look of a man who had once stared down Michael Jordan himself. When he finally took the mic, his voice was low and rough, carrying the weight of truth. Those are some incredible stats, he began. I love LeBron, but he's the 3rd best player I've ever seen, after Michael and Kobe. The crowd fell silent. Time seemed to pause. Barkley wasn't talking like a commentator. He was speaking like someone who had lived through the fire. He came from an era when greatness wasn't tracked by numbers, but written in bruises, sweat, and the quiet dread opponents felt when Jordan stepped on the floor. LeBron may have conquered every stat line, but he could never conquer memory, and Barkley's memories are carved in something deeper than data. He didn't raise his voice or spark an argument. He spoke with the calm certainty of a veteran recalling a war the new generation only knows through stories. I'll never say a bad word about LeBron, he said softly, but I've seen Michael, and it's different. In that moment, if Jordan was the faith of the 90s, Then Barkley stood as its guardian. LeBron James embodies a world where greatness can be calculated, charted, and compared. But Michael Jordan belongs to a world where greatness can only be felt. The audience expected Barkley to spark a fiery debate, to defend Jordan with passion, to go blow for blow in the endless stat war. But he didn't. Barkley didn't come to argue, he came to remind. "Those are some incredible stats," he said once more. "I'm not going to say anything bad about LeBron. I love him." There was no sarcasm, no ego, just grace. The kind that only comes from someone who's seen true greatness up close and understands how rare it is. That's what set Barkley apart from everyone else in that room. He wasn't speaking from emotion, but from experience, from standing beside Jordan, battling him, losing to him, and witnessing firsthand what numbers can't capture. Because Barkley understood something the young fan didn't. Statistics tell you what a man did, but presence tells you who he was. LeBron's greatness is mathematical, consistent, measurable, and impossible to deny. But Jordan's greatness? That was something deeper, something you felt. You didn't need the box score to tell you he was dominating. You could sense it, in the pit of your stomach, in the tension in the air, in the way entire arenas seemed to hold their breath when he stepped on the court. That's why Barkley didn't need to shout. The truth carried its own gravity. When he said, "It's different," he wasn't comparing skills or eras. He was describing an energy, a presence that made even future Hall of Famers tremble before tip-off. He wasn't dismissing LeBron. He was protecting something sacred, the myth of Jordan, built from muscle, mind, and moments too powerful for numbers to define. To Barkley, trying to measure Jordan with stats was like trying to capture lightning with a ruler. You could record the strike, but you'd miss the heat, the shock, the divine chaos of it all. That's why he stayed calm. Because when you've been burned by fire, you don't argue with those who've only seen the smoke. Barkley looked at the young fan, eager, confident, clutching his stats like weapons. And in that quiet moment, you could almost hear what he didn't need to say. "Kid, you've watched highlights. I've witnessed history. LeBron's numbers may echo loudly, but Jordan's presence will echo forever." Barkley's calm wasn't hesitation, it was authority. Because when you've faced the man who was fear itself, you don't need to win arguments. You've already survived Michael Jordan. Then Barkley leaned forward, his voice steady, deliberate, stripped of ego. He didn't go to college for 3 years. You have to factor that in. The applause faded into silence. That's when Barkley's words became a blade, sharp, precise, cutting through the noise. The young fan had come armed with numbers. LeBron, the all-time leading scorer, top 5 in assists, top 10 in rebounds. But Barkley had something far more powerful, context. Jordan didn't spend those 3 years sitting on a bench. He spent them winning, dominating, building a foundation of greatness before he ever stepped onto an NBA floor. Those 3 college years were something LeBron never needed, because his era was built on projection, not proof. Then Barkley delivered the quiet dagger. Michael actually scored 5,000 more points in the same number of games. 5,000. That's the equivalent of 2.5 NBA seasons, wiped out, not by failure, but by choice. Jordan didn't have to stop. He chose to. He left once to heal, once to breathe, once because he'd already conquered everything there was to conquer. He broke his foot as a rookie, retired twice in his prime, and still came back to rule the league like even time bowed to him. Barkley didn't need to shout. The math spoke for itself. If Jordan had entered the NBA 3 years earlier, stayed healthy, and never walked away, he wouldn't just top the scoring charts. He'd end the argument forever. But Barkley wasn't chasing what ifs. He was reminding everyone why it never mattered. Jordan didn't need 20 seasons to etch his name in eternity. He only needed 13 to 13 years to bend the laws of competition and prove that true greatness isn't accumulated over time. It's compressed into moments that never fade. He played fewer games, spent fewer years on the court, and still carved out a legacy that refuses to fade, even 3 decades later. LeBron's story is about longevity. Jordan's is about intensity. LeBron stretched greatness over time. Jordan folded time into greatness itself. That's why Barkley's words carried such weight, such finality. He wasn't comparing 2 eras, he was contrasting the boundaries of human potential. Jordan didn't just play within those limits, he redefined where they ended. If Michael hadn't retired, he'd be the all-time leading scorer, Barkley said simply. It wasn't arrogance, it was arithmetic baptized in memory. In that instant, the stats that once sounded untouchable, 39,000 points, 20 seasons, 19 All-NBAs, suddenly felt small. Because eternity isn't counted in numbers. It's felt in the silence that follows a name. And when Charles Barkley said, "Michael," that silence spoke louder than any statistic ever could. LeBron may have started earlier, skipping college for the league, but Jordan's greatness wasn't about head starts. It was about impact, distilled and eternal. When Charles Barkley said that line, it wasn't just a correction, it was a revelation. He wasn't trying to pit two legends against each other. He was reminding everyone that time itself has treated the debate unfairly. You can't measure Michael Jordan by the same scale you use for LeBron James, because Jordan didn't play within time, time played within him. LeBron's greatness is a masterpiece of endurance, built on a body designed to outlast limits. Jordan's greatness, though, was pure eruption, an unstoppable force of mind, will, and instinct that refused to follow any rules. Barkley wasn't knocking LeBron, he was simply pointing out the truth. Longevity is impressive, but impact, that permanent, soul-shaking kind, is rare. LeBron stretched greatness over decades. Jordan compressed forever into just 13 years. That's why the comparison never feels right. How can you measure someone who redefined measurement itself? Jordan didn't need decades to evolve. His legend arrived in an instant. The tongue out, the hang time, the impossible shot that made time itself hold its breath. LeBron's greatness has been built piece by piece, a steady climb of dominance over time. Jordan's, on the other hand, was instant, atomic. It exploded once, and the shockwave still ripples through the game today. That's what Charles Barkley grasped better than anyone else in the room.